You're watching News Channel 11 in your corner at 6.
2 local utility districts and 4 people who've worked for them are now at the center of a mystery that's left them on paid administrative leave. Thanks again for joining us at 6. I'm Josh Smith. Sarah Diamond has the evening off. Thousands of customers in Greene and Washington counties rely on Chuckey and Cross Anchor utility districts to get their water every day. Now some of the leaders of those utilities have been called into question, and community watchdog Nate Morabito found out that they're all related.
I come in here maybe once every 3 or 4 months to pay my bill.
Les Gwynn came here today to pay his monthly water bill. The 17-year Chuckey Utility District customer says not once has he ever suspected anything but great customer service here.
They've always treated me right. You know, good people to talk to. Yeah, I've never had any problems.
But inside, the acting manager's door is locked. Nearby, a plaque hangs on the wall thanking the manager's mother for all of her years of dedication and service to this place. The board president says the 2 are among 4 employees now on paid administrative leave. He says they include retired manager Shirley Collins, her husband, Inspector Willie Collins, their daughter, acting manager Candy Jennings, and her husband, license operator Bill Jennings. Exactly what they're accused of, if anything, remains a mystery. But a possible state audit could bring answers. The man who audits these utility districts every year says he was just getting ready to do this year's audit, asking questions, looking at documents, when he came across some information he thought the comptroller of Tennessee needed to see. He wouldn't go into specifics. Regardless, now that information is in Nashville, waiting for the comptroller to decide whether or not it needs to be investigated further. Board President John Carter did not want to talk on camera, but he did tell us, quote, "I wish the state was here today because I would love to get this cleared up one way or the other," end quote. No matter what happens, Carter says the issues here won't impact service for water customers. Still, for a place that only employs about 20 people, news that several of them are now on paid administrative leave, a family that spent years leading the utility,
I have no idea who they are.
is nothing short of a shock to this man.
It's a shame that something is going on, but I hope it's nothing serious.
I asked the state comptroller's office specifically about this case today. A spokesperson told me, quote, "We can't confirm or deny if we are investigating," end quote. So, Josh, we'll really have to wait and see what, if anything, happens next year.
What about those 4 employees? What do they have to say?
Well, you know, we would really love to know. We'd love to tell their side of this story right now. I left messages on both couples' home phones earlier today, but we've yet to hear back from either of the families.
Nate Morabito. Nate, thank you.
A representative from the state of Tennessee Comptroller's office spent an entire week at the Chuckey and Cross Anchor utility districts in Greene County. This after a community watchdog investigation revealed board members placed 4 employees there on administrative leave earlier this month. The utility district's attorney says the employee from the comptroller's office reviewed documents and interviewed several people during his time in Greenville earlier this month. Leaders of the 2 local utilities previously said they wanted the state to take a closer look at a situation there, a situation they've not yet talked about publicly. Earlier this month, the board placed 4 employees on paid administrative leave. Retired manager Shirley Collins, her husband, Inspector Willie Collins, their daughter, acting manager Candy Jennings, and her husband, license operator Bill Jennings.
No more pay. That's the decision tonight from a Greene County utility regarding 4 employees currently on administrative leave. The 4 employees will remain unpaid until state auditors complete their review of 2 Greene County utilities. The Cross Anchor Utility District Board made the decision tonight. A community watchdog investigation in early October revealed the board's previously placed retired manager Shirley Collins, her husband, the inspector Willie Collins, their daughter, acting manager Candy Jennings, and her husband, license operator Bill Jennings on paid administrative leave pending an audit. The Cross Anchor board president said continuing to pay the employees wouldn't be fair to customers.
According to what we're hearing from the state comptroller, this may carry on for several months, and it's not fair to the customers that we pay these employees for that period of time.
The Chuckey Utility District also is part of the state audit. Their board will meet Wednesday night.
Maybe I should be raising Cain about my water bill. Maybe it shouldn't be that high.
Customer Bill Guest was already angry about the situation at his utility district, but then we told him something that made him furious.
Good gosh.
When Shirley Collins retired in June of this year, the utilities dedicated the boardroom in her honor,
I'm going to make the recommendation that we suspend the pay.
When board members voted to suspend her pay Monday night, the plaque was no longer on the wall.
It's a mess. It hurts everyone. It hurts the utility. It hurts us. It hurts the employees.
The board wouldn't say much about the ongoing audit here, but this man confirmed Shirley Collins' pay is among the items under scrutiny.
That's part of the findings that I'm not at liberty to discuss and really don't know anything about at this time.
The utilities payroll summary revealed the retired manager made nearly $140,000 in 2012, which included an almost $30,000 bonus and $2,400 for cell phone expenses. The utilities issued 7 paychecks to Collins in December alone, including 2 paychecks worth nearly $6,000 apiece, issued on the last day of the year. Chuckey Utility District's board president says that bonus was never approved by the board. Staff members also say they're not aware of any documentation that shows those additional paychecks were ever authorized.
Some of the issues were things done that didn't get board approval. That's what concerns me.
We also found something else interesting. Collins may have retired in June, but every month since, she's continued to receive a more than $7,000 check. This contract, signed by Chuckey Board Chairman John Carter, lists Collins as a consultant for the next 2 years, granting her the equivalent of her 2011 salary spread out over a 2-year period.
What's that money for if she's retired?
Guests couldn't believe what we uncovered. The more we told him, on the last day of the year, she made $10,000.
In one day?
The more he believed the people in charge of keeping an eye on this utility dropped the ball.
It shouldn't have went on. I believe that's the commissioner's jobs to check that, or the auditors, or ever who was. Somebody wasn't doing their job.
I feel part of the fault at that, yes, I do.
Board members tell us they put too much trust in the managers here, and for that, they are partly to blame.
We are here for the people, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do things the way it should be done.
Now, Chuckey's board chairman, John Carter, the man whose signature is on the post-retirement consultant contract that we showed you, previously told me in regards to all of this, quote, people need to know I'm just as upset as everybody else, end quote, in regards to this whole situation. Admittedly, the board did not have as much control or awareness of the day-to-day operations of these 2 utilities, really, and we're told those are now among the changes that are going to be proposed in the future to have some more control. By the way, we made multiple attempts today to try to reach Shirley Collins. We've yet to be able to reach her.
We'll let you know if she does. I know, Nate. Thank you very much. We mentioned Collins' net pay was almost $140,000 during her last full year with the utility, which reaches roughly 8,000 customers. She was in charge of a couple dozen employees. Now, for comparison purposes, Johnson City's city manager makes $134,000 a year. He manages 832 employees, and there are 42,000 water customer accounts. If you think this raises eyebrows, wait until we tell you about another expense we uncovered. It has to do with Collins' retirement party. We'll have that investigation tomorrow night at 6.
We just said to have a retirement party for Shirley because she had been manager for so many years, out of respect for her.
When Cross-Anchor Utility board members gave the go-ahead for the district to throw a send-off for their outgoing leader, Secretary Lynn Foshee says they expected it to be reasonable, but he admits they never set any guidelines for the cost.
We trusted them to do that and do the right thing.
And they didn't.
Evidently not.
Now they're learning the utilities spared no expense. The party itself, according to board members, wasn't all that memorable.
I went, I ate, and I left.
But the cost won't be something they soon forget. Dinner alone cost $1,944 and included 40 racks of ribs, 50 pounds of pulled pork, corn pudding, and baked beans. Foshee thinks that cost was reasonable for the roughly 50 people who attended. But then we told him how much the utilities paid for the rentals.
Does that bother you looking back on it?
Yeah, it does.
The total cost paid to Grand Rental Station, around $2,800.
It's a retirement party. She had been here a long time, but that's a lot of money for just rentals.
Does any of these numbers bother you?
Well, yes, they do. They really do. There's some extravaganza there that really should have been avoided.
Among the items rented, 3 tents for $940, an inflatable water slide for $275, an inflatable movie screen and projector, the cost $260, a PA system for $150, a slush machine, $55, hot dog machine, $40, cotton candy machine, $40, and spooky fruity grape-flavored cotton candy mix for $5.99. We found another $1,700 in miscellaneous and other expenses related to the party. Among those costs, $300 for a Beatles cover band, $194 for a sheet cake with toy trucks on it, and $451 for a couple of leather guest books and journals, two of which had inscriptions honoring Collins for setting, quote, an example to be followed. Food, rentals, and other expenses combined, the total bill for the Retirement Fun Fest came in at $6,452. Board members say they're partly to blame for the lack of control at this office.
I think we trusted people to do their job and had been well pleased up until last year.
They say they put their trust in the wrong people and never authorized the actual expenses.
I think this has been going on for a while. I don't know. I'm just hoping we get to the bottom of something and can see. I mean, I guess we trusted too much in the manager.
They say in the future they'll be more aware of the day-to-day operations here and how much money the utility spends. Customer Bill Guess hopes so.
You know what it sounds like to me? They just give her a checkbook and open up the bank to them.
Well, state auditors continue to investigate several questionable expenses by two Greene County utilities. The district attorney general now says once that audit is complete, he will make a decision as to whether he will investigate himself. This an update to an ongoing community watchdog investigation involving Cross Anchor and Chuckey utility districts. Since yesterday's report, we've found more expenses related to Shirley Collins' retirement party, bringing the total cost of that event to $7,671. Tuesday night, we told you about her nearly $30,000 bonus in 2012, a bonus that board members now say they never approved. Collins and three family members remain on unpaid administrative leave pending the completion of a state audit. District Attorney General Barkley Bell says he'll weigh in once he receives that final report.
The auditor who originally called in the state to investigate two Greene County utility districts is now saying he never alerted the board of questionable spending before because it was never an obvious issue until recently. It's the latest update to our community watchdog investigation into Cross Anchor and Chuckey utility districts. Earlier this week, we told you about an apparent $28,000 bonus for the district's manager and subsequent $7,600 retirement party for her. Well, yesterday, one of the board chairmen accepted some of the blame for a lack of oversight, but also said the auditor dropped the ball for not catching the expenses earlier. Auditor Mickey Ellis told us today that's because the expenses in question occurred during the time period of his most recent audit. Ellis told us the issues we've reported, quote, were so flagrant compared to what we saw in the past, and the board had no knowledge of this. That raised a question of if we had a problem with documentation, oversight, and intentional deceit, end quote. 4 employees, all related, are on unpaid administrative leave pending the results of a state investigative audit.
New at 6 o'clock, an employee from the state comptroller's office will return to the Chuckey and Cross Anchor utility districts amid a state investigative audit focused on the office and some questionable expenses. This news comes just a week after a community watchdog investigation uncovered more than $7,000 in money spent on a retirement party for the manager and an apparent unapproved $28,000 bonus for her last December. Office staff confirmed to us the comptroller's office employee called and said he'd be visiting this afternoon. The utility district's attorney says that employee had previously told him he would return at some point to conduct additional interviews. Now, in the meantime, 4 employees, including the retired manager and her family, remain on unpaid administrative leave.